Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schleck. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. Go to theathletic.com/down to dunk and get The Athletic for 30% off an annual subscription. With me, as always, on Wednesdays is my good friend Alex Spears. Alex, what's up?
What's up, Andrew? In the comments, Twice God says he's going to be at the game tonight for the first time since 2009.
Oh, wow, Twice God. I'm going to be there too. Come say
It's been
hello.
a decade.
Come say hello. If you're at the game, feel free to come say hello.
Why would you say that? They'll get arrested if they come and see you because you're down on Media Row.
Come say hello. I can do that.
They don't let people down there.
And just wave. Just wave hello. I'll be moseying around, trying to, find some treats while I'm at the arena. So
find some treats. What a psycho.
It's true. It's true. If you see me heading back to my seat with arms full of treats, my family's going to the game tonight. Big shouts to special guest Royce Young for hooking us up.
Nice.
Our family will be there, so I will be. You might see me walking up and down the stands with lots of treats. So, should be fun. Should be a fun game. We have the Tanking Super Bowl coming to Oklahoma City tonight.
Part 4?
Is this the 4th time? Yes. Goodness, man.
It's over, though. This is the final. This is the finale.
I'm so glad. I'm so... One, I'm tired of thinking about the Rockets. I'm tired of watching the Rockets.
Yeah.
I am so glad this is it because it's... And I really hope that this ends up being a 1-3 endeavor for the Thunder.
That would be pretty wild.
If
they were able to come away this season with a 1-3 record against the Rockets.
What a roller coaster.
Really impressive.
So far in the 3 games. The first game, they just get trounced. And you're like, wow, the Thunder did it. They are the worst team maybe in NBA history. How did this happen? And then they turn this corner where you're like, well, they're clearly better. They're clearly better than Houston. They beat OKC. And then they lose again by a bunch. And it was more reasonable the second time around they lost in Houston because they're without the plus-minus all-stars of Kenrich Williams and Mike Muscala. And even Favors isn't great plus-minus, but still having a veteran that knows what he's up to that's always helpful.
They can't solve the riddle that is the Toyota Center. The place was jumping.
Dude, the attendance was just embarrassing.
I know. I mean, we probably shouldn't say anything because I know it's really bad in OKC too. But
yeah,
it was also bad in Houston.
Some of that's Mondays. Monday attendance has been really bad. For the Thunder, and that's just the eye test. Any Monday game I've gone to, there was a preseason game on a Monday, and it was I can probably count the people that are here, just myself.
That's rough, yeah.
The attendance can be counted by me. And Wednesdays have been better attended, and obviously weekend games are better too. But this game in particular, there's no draw from Houston. I mean, go ask any random person that likes the NBA. You don't even have to be people that don't like the NBA. Say, hey, name 3 people that are on the Rockets. And I bet you they couldn't do it.
Well, I mean, even if you're a if you're a diehard, you're interested in the team no matter what. But if you're just a casual Rockets fan and you were wanting to go to a game, you wouldn't want to pick the one that Jalen Green isn't even going to play in.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares?
No Jalen Green, no Mike Muscala. I mean, what's the point?
What's the point? Only getting 17 Şengün minutes, and they're not even playing Daniel Tice, What's the point?
Hey, Roby kind of took it to Şengün a little bit in that game. What do you think about that?
I didn't think much of it. I thought a lot about your tweet, though.
Oh, you did?
Your sly tweet. Trying to take your cheap shot at R. Alperin.
Yep.
At R. Alperin saying that that Roby made him look like a 16th pick, and then immediately getting hate tweets from Şengün supporters.
Someone was so mad. It's just I'm just messing around. I like Şengün. I think
you gotta stop messing.
I gotta stop messing. I gotta stop messing.
Uh, I'm thrilled though because the Rockets' 3-game winning streak a
Yeah,
couple of weeks ago, Andrew, the reverse standings, it was looking scary. It was looking scary. It was like, are we heading for another 6th overall pick?
Yep.
Which, like, fine, but please, we have to get a high pick one of these years. And then the Rockets turn it on. The Pelicans have turned it on.
Ooh, the Pels is
This
a big one, huh?
Oh yeah, the Pels I feel great about. I retweeted that graph, that chart from Ed Kupfer
Yep.
yesterday,
Yep.
where the Pelicans literally have had the hardest schedule so far, and they're going to have the easiest schedule going forward.
Yep.
So even if Zion is in and out of the lineup, you still got to feel good about them going forward. Like they're going to finish ahead of the Thunder. So that's good. We
Yes.
got that one off the board. And then the teams at the bottom, I actually felt good because they all have about the same strength of schedule going forward.
Mhm.
And I would say, like, I'm feeling better about the Rockets now. Now we'll see because there's two competing factors. One, they finally went away from their double big lineup of Christian Wood and Daniel Tice, which was terrible by advanced stats.
Yep.
It's terrible to watch. I think it was hurting. It was obviously hurting their spacing, even though Daniel Tice will take some threes.
It's hurting my
They
eyes.
hurting your eyes. They got rid of it. That lineup that they had last night: KPJ, Garrison Matthews, Eric Gordon, Jayshawn Tate, Christian Wood. Like that's not a playoff team, but that's a fine starting lineup. It's
Competent.
fine.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's one competing thing. So like, okay, they've gotten away from the double bigs. That's great. But then the other thing is Jalen Green, one of the worst plus minuses, one of the worst players just by advanced stats.
Yeah.
I mean, I still really like Jalen Green, but that's just what the advanced stats say. He's been one of the most harmful players, which is to be expected. I mean, Teo, I think, was last. He was like bottom 5 in the league last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So that's normal, but he's been out of the lineup. So when he comes back, we'll have to see how they look. Like when he comes back, you now have this new lineup where you don't have people clogging the lane. Maybe that makes it easier for Jalen Green. He starts playing better. The point is I'm more hopeful than I've been in a few weeks about the Rockets. I feel like they really got something going and they gotta stick with it, Andrew. They gotta stick with it.
Yeah. I mean, look at the injury report right now. Houston, DJ Augustine, Usman Garuba, Jalen Green all out. Like
Yeah.
that's helpful. Like DJ Augustine, when he played in OKC, couldn't have been more disinterested in what was going on out there. I mean, it's just he was done. And then for the Thunder, Gabriel Deck is listed as out on a G League assignment, which I think he'll be recalled today. But also, like he won't play anyways.
Did they is he actually going to play a game or was it just he's
No,
working out with him?
he was going. They were going to do. This is what Mark said yesterday. Is they were going to do a high intensity workout for practice that day, and they wanted to get him over there to do it because the Thunder weren't going to have one, and they want him to stay in shape. So that's
what if they didn't do that and he just got giant by the end of the season? Just weighed like 300 pounds at the end of the season.
Oh no, we forgot. We forgot about you, Gabby. No.
He's just been enjoying Tex-Mex in Oklahoma City, just loading up at Ted's Escondido.
It's possible. It's very possible. Derek Favors is listed as out with a non-COVID related illness. Vit Krejci is with the Blue as well. Kenrich Williams is out with a right ankle sprain, and then Mike Muscala is listed as questionable with right ankle soreness. He was a late scratch. Like he was taken out of the lineup like right before the game started the other night. So, but like I said, with those plus minus all stars out, it really changes everything because there's nobody to come off the bench to flip the game. And the starting lineup has really been bad in the first quarters, and they've kind of relied on Kenrich and Mike to come in and flip the game for them. And there's no game flippers coming off that bench right now. It's a bunch of young guys that are still trying to figure things out. I know Trey Mann had a nice game. Isaiah Ruby had a nice game, but like they didn't flip the energy of the game. And that's something that both those guys do. So
I was looking at the playing time from that game. I was very interested in Baisley's minutes because one of the early season narratives is Marcus has a he's not letting Poku play more than 15 minutes most games.
Yep.
Like he's having to prove himself. Same with Trey Mann. All that makes sense, but why is Baszler getting to play all these minutes? And do you think it's actually shifting right now, or do you think it's just a matter of like, well, these games are kind of getting out of hand, and whatever, why play Baszler? Because he only played 20 minutes in the game against Houston, and in the game prior to that, he only played 21 minutes
Yeah.
against Washington. He previously had typically been playing around 30 to 33 minutes. Early in the season, like in that first Houston game, he only played 17 minutes because it was a blowout. He only played 19 minutes in the game against Golden State. But do you think this is actually a trend, or is this just a blip, like random Mark is trying out different stuff in these couple of games?
I think they know he's struggling. I asked specifically, like, what's the plan with Baszler? Like, he's struggling offensively. Is there any thought that he could, come off the bench
Yeah.
or change his role? And he said they hadn't really given that much consideration. So my guess is that this is more just kind of situational where things are out of hand and Roby's playing well. So let's give Roby a little bit more run.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily like we're looking to do something different with Baisley because it really didn't seem like that at all. Asking Mark yesterday, it didn't seem
Hmm.
like they were going to do anything different. And some of that is that there's nobody off the bench that's like pushing for that role.
I know that I was thinking about that because I mean we would like to see maybe Poku, but I don't
Yeah.
know if you like. I understand why they don't want Poku to be their starting power forward.
Yeah, Poker's not lighting the world on fire right now. If he's coming off the bench scoring like 15 a game, then I think it would be like, yeah, like there's no reason to not.
Right.
But like he's coming off the bench, putting up 2, 3, and 1. It's like, okay, well,
What
Baisley
about
Baisley at least defends.
what about the idea of we saw Isaiah Roby last night? Would you like to
Yeah.
see more Isaiah Roby, more Roby JRE front lines?
No,
No, nothing there.
I
Nothing
mean
get you excited?
they're both like 4 or 5 tweeners.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, like it's. I mean, if you want to you'll get worse defensively, certainly, if you put Roby out there. And Roby had a nice night. He was 8 of 10 from the field. Like, he's not going to shoot 80% from the field. Like that's just not going
Mm.
to happen. So, yes, he had a good night. I don't think it's anything to overreact to. That's fine. I don't know. I mean, I'm fine with like keeping Baisley in there and using this season to like solidify that like yes, Darius Baisley is not a part of the future of the Thunder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels like they've already made that decision about Teo, who only got 6
Yeah.
minutes in this game. Like
He's out of the rotation, like totally, and he's going to be going back to the Blues soon too.
yeah. And in his case, there is someone pushing him for minutes
Yeah,
because you have Trey Mann now.
Trey's been
It's
good.
not just Ty Jerome, which in Oklahoma City world is a veteran. Like you actually have this young rookie that you want to get minutes for.
Mhm.
And Trey Mann is so much, obviously, like they're completely different players, but he's so much more dynamic when he's out on the court. I was actually looking at Teo's game log because of game score on Basketball Reference,
Mhm.
where it's trying to do like a quick and dirty summation of how good a player was, mostly offensively.
Yep.
And like a decent game would be like somewhere in the realm of like 20, a game score of 20. Like Shea's had a lot of games around 20. Teo, I didn't realize you could have negative game scores. That was brought to my attention when looking through Teo's box score. He's had 3 negative games, a 0, a 0.5, a 0.7, 0.8. Like he is putting up when he is out on the court. If we're using that as a quick and dirty like statistic, he is not impacting the game at all. Like not doing anything.
It's been rough.
He's made 3 threes on the season.
That feels right. That feels about right. Where he's been. Yeah,
He's shooting 11.5% from 3 on
yeah.
the season.
Low attempts. I'm not completely giving up on Teo. I'm not completely giving up hope on Teo.
It's
Uh,
not even about giving up hope. It's like where is he going to get minutes going forward? Because I feel like the roster crunch that we talk about in the future, Like
Yeah,
you could
that's real. That's real. This season,
well,
I
but
think there will be
no, but
there'll be a time this season that he'll get
I'm saying like that roster crunch is going to happen, but there's like no chance of it happening with the bigs this year. Like we could literally bring in another player and find them minutes in the front court. But I
no.
feel like the roster crunch is already there with the guards. Like the fact that Ty Jerome can't get consistent minutes, and he's been one of the better players on the team, just in
Mhm,
terms of like consistency.
mhm.
I was going back looking at PER because one of my bold predictions in the preseason was that only one Thunder player
Oh,
would
yeah.
have above a 15 PER.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't think that will end up being true. But right now, there's only 4. So, like, I have a shot.
Yeah.
I have
This
a shot. And one of those is Ty Jerome. Mike Muscala is the one who's going to screw it up for me because he's obviously going to be above 15.
yeah, no
He's
question.
already locked it in.
Yeah, he probably has.
Yeah.
He probably has, and who knows? I mean, I'm interested to see how much Mike plays the rest of the season. I think he'll play the rest of the season, but I'm interested
Yeah.
to see what that looks like because there's a chance that we don't see much Muscala moving forward. Because that's one of I think it's pretty obvious that if you are following what the Thunder are doing, that they have some levers to pull and that the levers that they need to pull to stay at the bottom of these tankathon standings, right? Like if you want to get one of the top 2 picks in this draft, then you have to be bad. Like you just have to be. And you look at what Mike and Kenrich and all these other guys are doing, and it might behoove them to go find another big and be like, you know what, we want to try to get minutes for the next Tony Bradley or whoever it is, rather than
Yeah.
throwing Mike out there.
Just to see if you can find something.
Yeah, see if you can find something, or just to honestly not have a game flipper out there.
Not a game flipper. Moses Brown started for the Mavs. You hear
Yeah,
that?
he did.
It didn't go well.
No, it didn't go well. Who's
Okay. You said top 2. I would like to. This isn't a bold prediction, but I just want to stake my claim that
Mhm.
I would be thrilled, equally thrilled,
Yeah.
if the Thunder got any of the top 3 guys.
Okay. Who's the third guy?
Jabari Smith, because
Okay.
each of those guys offers something that the Thunder are lacking in. You
Yeah,
talked about it with Paolo, how like he's a high level scorer,
bro.
something that the Thunder are going to need at some point.
Yeah.
Chet, obviously, great rim defender, something they do not have on the
Yeah.
roster right now. But
Hmm.
then Jabari Smith, way better shooter than Paolo or Chet.
Yeah, he is the kind of player, and you'd have to wonder what the Thunder's thought process would be between him and Chet.
Or yeah, I was about to say or him or Paolo because like seriously, for a team that is so focused on defense, like Jabari Smith is like worlds better
Yeah.
than Paolo. I mean, he is so much. He is a 3 and D who has the potential to grow into like a big time scorer,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm saying right now on December 1st,
Hmm.
I would be equally thrilled if they got any of those 3 because I think all of them are bringing something that the Thunder desperately need.
Yeah.
Beyond that is where I start. I don't know. I don't know. I think for Thunder fans, we want Jaden Ivey to be as good as possible
Yeah.
in the hopes that someone who needs a guard early is going to like jump at the chance to take Jaden Ivey
Yeah.
because I don't think. I mean, who knows? Maybe if he's the best player available, Oklahoma City takes him. But
Hmm.
now, like the guard crunch is like unsolvable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's and in a draft like this where there are so many bigs and so many good bigs.
Yeah. It would be similar to like the Sixers taking too many centers to start their process.
Yeah, like you get it because it's BPA, not
Yeah.
the chemical, best player available.
Yeah.
But it really hamstrings your development of those guys.
Yeah. Yanni in the chat says that Jabari is a full calendar year younger than Paolo and Chet.
That is also true. Yes, and you know how I love young guys.
You're all
full
about age.
full calendar year, already shooting like 40% from three, can guard, he says, all 5 positions, although he did say he cannot guard Jokic.
Mhm.
He admitted that. I just think, like, any of those top 3, I am just over the moon.
Yeah, I this is this is an important draft, and I mentioned this on Monday, but it's kinda great that they got Giddy in this past draft just because the bigs that are in this draft, like, that's where the need is, and had they drafted a big or even Kuminga who
Yeah.
might end up playing more power forward in the league, like, it would be then you'd have to be like, "Well, where does that fit? How does it work?" Because that ultimately will matter. Obviously, you wanna just get the most talent on the court possible and then figure it out, but with
Yeah.
the way the Thunder are building, like, there's a lot of intentionality behind the positions, and, like, one thing, like, Jabari would bring is just, like, this, like, positionless basketball stuff, and Paolo, to a degree, could bring that too. Chet could too, so all those guys could bring,
Yeah.
like, this, like, positionless, like, what are they? Who's guarding who? Why is this happening this way? Like, how do we deal with the Thunder? Like they're just weird and like could be, you know, a team that maybe sets some trends too with just the size they're going to have at every single position.
I think, and the other thing is, like, I don't think necessarily any of those players are going to be as impactful as Evan Mobley,
Sure.
but if you brought in a Chet or a Jabari, like a
Mhm.
high level defender, and subbed out, Baisley in the starting lineup for Jabari, or whoever we're playing at center for Chet, I don't think they would be as good as Cleveland is this year, but I do think you would see a significant, like, improvement in the team overall, like, year over year.
Mhm.
Like, I would see them being around, like, the 30 wins now.
Yeah. Yes. Eventually this Thunder team is going to win 32 games. Like that's going to
Yeah.
happen whether it's next season or the season after.
Whereas if Paolo came on the team, I think they still might be kind of bad.
Why do you think that?
Because I just don't think that he's necessarily helping you defensively the way those other 2 guys are in his rookie season.
Yeah, but what if he helps your offense? Because that's where the Thunder are hurting, just desperate. Like that's where they're just desperate. It's just like, can we get somebody to score? Can we get somebody to do it? Like they're an average defense already with starting two rookies.
That's true, that's true. So maybe if Paolo comes in, they bump up to, like, the 20th ranked or offense, and they're still, like, a mid-pack defense.
Yeah, and the thing I love about Mark with this squad is like you don't play unless you play defense. Like you just don't. It's like similar to like Popovich. Like you just don't play. You're not going to play. And
Yeah,
that's like Trey, you can hear Trey like how desperate like he really wants to get minutes. And when he talks after games, like all he wants to talk about is like getting loose balls, closing out, getting rebounds. That's all he wants to talk about because he knows like a part of that is like the key to him getting playing time. And I don't know how much Mark listens to those press conferences, but if he does and he hears all he's talking about is defense, he's like, all
he
right.
he knows the secret sauce.
He does, and he's buying in. I mean, Trey's been good. Trey's played well and deserves to have those minutes. And you mix in like the defense and the rebounding and everything that he's bringing with just the pure shot creation stuff that he brings to the table. It's like, okay, like he's interesting. I don't know what kind of NBA player he's going to be.
Yeah.
Um, that's still like way up in the air, but he's at least showing some stuff early on that is encouraging.
And I'm glad that he's being encouraged to shoot more. It seems like that's a big focus of the team as well. I mean, we heard Mark talk about it,
Yeah.
like Shay's, helping him out doing shooting drills. Like they want him to be that scorer.
Yeah. Yeah, he has to. Like you could tell it was frustrating Mark at the beginning of the season. And you could see it too, just like watching him get out there. Like he would have these opportunities where you're like, okay, now like there's your step back, like there's your pull up, there's like you can see it.
Right.
He's just not taking it. And he's finally starting to take those. And like his acrobatic finishes at the rim, like through contact, it's like, oh, like those are the moments. The outside shooting and everything, I think he's already got that, but the finishing around the rim stuff has been like, oh, I guess that's pretty
Well,
like way more interesting as a player.
yeah, I feel like the outside shooting, like everything but the shot, is there, and it has been there.
Yeah,
But like in that Houston game, despite going 1 of 5 from three, like the way he was attacking the basket and getting to the line, like you could imagine a scenario where he's filling that role of like a Lou Williams off the bench.
yeah,
Because that was what Lou Will was so good at. Like, yes, he was a great scorer and he could shoot threes, but he got to the line a ton. And
yep,
if Trey Mann could be that type of guy coming off the bench, it would just be a huge boost to this offense.
yeah. Trey, from 0 to 3 feet, you know what he's shooting on the season?
Trey, 0 to 3 feet on the season, he is shooting 61%.
84.6%.
Whoa, 84.
He's like making everything, and it's not a ton. It's only like 18% of his shots.
Uh-huh.
Um, but that's really something. I mean, it's the best number on the team. Next is Isaiah Roby at 76%. Next, Lou Dort, 69% from 0 to 3 feet. Josh
Uh-huh.
Giddey, 65. Shea, 63. Favors, 62. That's pretty good.
Let's hone in on that Giddy number because his game against Houston is probably one of his worst offensively in terms of his own scoring,
I'm calling it. It was his worst.
and
Like straight.
and 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 it kind of reminded me of Dort's rookie season, where like he's getting left wide open from three,
Yeah.
and on the one hand you're like, well, I guess you got to take it because it's wide open.
It's got to take it. Yeah.
But on the other hand, like it's not going in, and because he's being forced into that shot that he is not good at right now, it's taking away so much of the rest of his game because when he drives, something interesting happens the majority of the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing something, whether he's creating something for someone else or like you just mentioned with his field goal percentage 0 to 3 feet, he's doing something for himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that but I don't know what he's supposed to do because they're sagging so far off of him. It's
Mm-hmm.
like what you can't what you just gonna drive into like three guys around the basket. Like I understand why he's taking those threes, but like he has to start making threes so that someone guards him. Because when someone does come out on him, he doesn't shoot the three. He instantly starts driving and everything looks better.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to make some kind of adjustment. And maybe it's him coming off of more like dribble handoffs so they can get him going downhill more. But when he's playing off ball and they're passing it to him and he's just like, okay, well, there's no one within 20 feet of me. I guess I will shoot this three and it clanks off. It just takes so much away from his game and what he's bringing to this team.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not worried about it. I think it's something he's got to work on in the offseason, honestly. I don't think it's going to get any better. I want him to continue to take them, though, because I think it's good for him to get the reps and for almost for him because he's so competitive that I don't think he's going to. And hopefully, it never gets to this point where he's like, "Oh man, like I'm just not a 3-point shooter." Like I think he needs to keep taking them because it's a swing skill for him, and I don't want him to be afraid to take them. So like if you shoot 28% from three on the season, like who really cares? Like it's not about this season. It's not about that. Like get in the gym, get better in the off season, improve. Even if he's only like a 32, 33% 3-point shooter for his career, that's fine. Like, but you got to take him.
But Andrew, what if he begins to tumble down the rookie rankings, Andrew?
I just do not care. I just could not. I need him to get better, in the off season, and because if he can figure out a 3-point shot, and it's been, like everybody just wants to talk about like the other Australian players that have gotten better. Like Patty Mills was not a great 3-point shooter when he came into the league. Joe Ingles wasn't known as a shooter early in his career. Maybe it's some Australian thing. Like,
Oh my gosh, our Australian listeners, let us know.
let us know if it's a thing.
Do they have a 3-point line in Australia? Maybe they don't.
I just think he's gonna work and get better. and I don't know if he'll ever be a knockdown Joe Ingles type of shooter, but even if he's just even below league average at like 33, 34%, like that's still great, you know.
Andrew, I wanted to go through. I want to play a little game with you.
Ooh, I like games.
So I'm going to read off a team that could potentially be in contention for like a top
Oh,
four-ish pick.
Woj news.
Woj news?
Did you see it?
No, I'm not on Twitter. I'm focusing on the pod.
Sorry, they're making Chicago and New Orleans forfeit picks.
Just their next available second round pick.
Yeah, that's right.
Who cares?
Could be
I would say worth it.
Who knows?
Both of those teams would say worth it because they gave up nothing.
True.
For Lowry and Ball.
Yeah. Yeah, true. All right. That's all.
Okay. All right. Back to my game, which you rudely interrupted. I'm going to name off teams that have a chance to be in the top four. You're going to tell me, because we talked about Jaden Ivey, you're going to tell me which teams would, in your mind, lean more to wanting to draft a big versus wanting to draft a guard. We'll say /wing. Because,
okay.
I mean, I guess Patrick Baldwin Jr. is going to be up there.
You're not a PBJ guy anymore?
No, I still am. I'd be open to him, but I'm just trying to figure out like which teams would definitely be prioritizing a big, because I think there's more than you realize, more than we realize. Okay, let's start with Orlando.
They've got a lot of bigs. They got
Bamba. They also the Bamba. Yes.
They've got Franz Wagner, who's a
Isaac.
Isaac. They don't
need
a
back.
Big. They need
Wendell Carter.
They don't really need a guard. They need a wing. They need a PBJ.
They need a PBJ. Okay, great. So good start. Bigs available. Next, Detroit. Big city.
They could use a big.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Houston.
It all depends on Christian Wood. Like, what is like the future of Christian Wood? Are they going to give him an extension?
No.
Do they think of him as a guy that should belong with this team for a long time? Like, I don't know.
They're going to trade him, and it's going to be a smart idea.
Maybe.
He's 26. He only has a year after this one.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying it. That's why I'm
trade him.
I'm like saying,
I'm saying they're a big team. They're definitely not a guard team.
They're a wing. I think they're more of a wing because they've got Şengün. They still have Usman Garuba.
That's true. Maybe they're a PBJ team, but still,
to me, they're more of a PBJ team.
But like you could play like if they could get Chet with Şengün, probably works.
Yeah, maybe.
Jabari Smith with Şengün probably works.
New
Orleans.
Yeah, Jabari Smith. That's a Jabari Smith team for sure.
Yeah. New Orleans. They could take a guard.
They need a guard pretty badly.
Jaden Ivey would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
On the Pelicans.
Yeah.
San Antonio. Isn't that crazy? San Antonio. So they've had the 27th hardest schedule. So AKA the 4th easiest. They have the 4th hardest coming up. They're the team I'm most interested to see where they end up, because right now they're 6-13, but they've won 2 in a row. They're starting and going back to the beginning of the season, even when they were terrible, their point differential was good for a team that was losing that much. I have no idea what to think about them. You kind of just hope that Pop is going to take them over whatever line we need them to get to.
Yeah,
because they beat the Celtics and the Wizards. They play at Portland tomorrow night, which they could easily win that game.
They're not going to be pulling plugs like the Thunder will. I don't think, like the Thunder should. I don't think that they're going to be like, well, we need to.
Well, the crazy thing with the Spurs is always like, what plug are you going to pull? Like, look at the roster. Like, the plugs have been pulled. They pulled it with DeRozan leaving, Patty Mills leaving, LMA leaving, Rudy Gay. Like, the plugs, there's nothing. They're playing Drew Eubanks.
Drew Eubanks took it to the Thunder the other night.
Don't care.
Yeah, he's such a Spurs big man in so many ways.
I think he is the most, like, if you just even like a fan of the NBA.
Yeah.
if you just showed them names of players that are currently on NBA rosters. Drew Eubanks would be the one that most people would say, "I have no idea who that is. I've never seen that name in my life."
Yeah, that's yeah, you got to be in the nitty-gritty.
You gotta be hardcore. You gotta be talking to Bruno Passos
What
like we
about
did.
Shimizu Metsu? Is that another one?
Probably, although he did get the boost by being in a starting lineup now, so maybe that helped him a little bit. I don't know who's watching the Kings though.
Yeah, nobody. I'm kind of a Metsu guy. I like him, by the way.
Uh, why would you like anyone on the? I feel so bad for the Kings. We're
Did you
getting
see the quote last night?
from Alvin Gentry
Yeah.
just apologizing,
Yes.
just saying, "Yeah, we're terrible. I'm
Uh,
sorry. You have to watch that."
Skeets tweeted warning. I have to read it. It's so it's just so sad. It is just so sad. I want to apologize to every Kings fan out there because you don't deserve this. The second half was a disaster and it was an embarrassment. We can't do what we did in the second half. The fans don't deserve that.
It's true,
It's true. I'm just
and
trying to
it
imagine
also
a scenario where Mark
applies.
gets up on the podium and says that.
It applies to the last decade and a half, though. Someone's finally apologizing to Kings fans.
Yeah, yeah, it applies to the past 16 years of basketball.
I can't even the I follow a couple people on Kings Twitter, and
Yeah.
it's getting dark.
It has to. Like at what point do you just say, you know what? Like we're close enough to San Francisco. you know?
Well, like
Close enough.
there's people, like that we do podcasts and whatever, and,
Yeah.
and some people have blogs who are tweeting out like, if I did not have to do this
Mhm.
for my job, I probably would not be watching the Kings right now.
We don't have a Kings beat writer for the Athletic anymore. He's doing he moved over to Jason Jones moved over doing something else. I'm sure he's just breathing fresh air, not having to cover the
Man.
Kings. Anytime I talk to Jason, he's just like, they'll never be good. Never. It's like, I don't care. You can put LeBron on this team. They'll never be good. He's like, never, ever will this team be good. They just won't. And
It's so
like,
wild, man.
people try to encourage him, like, no, what if they got, so and so? He's like, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I don't care what pick they get in the draft. They're going to screw it up.
I just don't know what they're supposed to do because
They need to trade for Ben Simmons. Like they just need to do. They need to do whatever trade. I don't care
To-
what the trade is. Like just go
to
trade.
what end though? Like
Okay, like you have to try something different.
no, but okay. So this is my point because there was a poll going around King's Twitter where it was like, "What do you want this team to do? Do you want them to go star hunting?
Yeah,
Do you want them to tank, or do you want them to try to make some moves to try to get this team to the playoffs? Just like trying to trade for slightly better players."
yeah.
And it's really split, like because they have never tanked. They do not tank.
They just stink. Yeah.
They end up as like the 5th through 10th pick every single year, but they've never
Once they
gone
got the second pick, they screwed it up.
right. And that was jumping up, I believe. I believe they jumped up that year to get that second pick. I don't know what the answer is. Like I guess Ben Simmons buys you a little time. I mean, he's a good player. He's one of those players like a Tyrese Halliburton where you feel like he is a quote unquote winning player
Yeah.
and he's going to make your team better even if like the stats don't always look it.
He made the All NBA team. They don't have anybody on their team that's going to make All NBA ever.
But the problem is like I don't know if they have the package, like because I don't know if Philly really wants De'Aaron Fox at this point.
No, maybe he's not a part of the deal. Maybe it's something else.
They would have to be a wild overpay. It'd have to be like Barnes, Healed, and picks. And at that point, like now you're probably worse again. Like the Kings are probably worse.
Maybe, but you're different.
I don't know. I don't know what I would be at this point.
Like you have to do that. I'm sorry. Like you get to keep Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox and add Ben Simmons. Like you have to do that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I should have thrown in Halliburton because again, if Philly would have done do Healed and Barnes, they would have probably done it by now.
Yeah, they would have done. Yes, that would have been done already. Yeah, that's and if you're Philly, if you're Philly and you could get Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton, like you just like more shooting around Embiid, like you could be like great. And I'm sure that like Morey would want something like that because it's like you take 53s a game. Like what's the limit with that squad now that you have like two guys that can really shoot it.
And the great thing for the Thunder is the Kings, they're 8-13. Like,
They're up.
they're not, like, the worst team in the league. They have 8 wins.
Yeah,
They're actually right where they've always been.
they're
Nothing
right.
that's happening this year is different. The the
There's
the thing is that it's always the same. They
yeah,
they don't tank, they don't get better, they are stuck perennially
yeah,
on the treadmill of mediocrity.
hmm yeah,
Too bad for them.
yeah. There's
Thankful to not be a Kings fan, thankful to, have a decent owner.
well, and a good general manager too. You know,
But you wouldn't even know it. Like, based on what you hear about the Kings, like, it doesn't even really matter who the GM is.
no, it doesn't. But to have the combination that we have in Oklahoma City, though, it's pretty. It's
Well,
pretty.
I tweeted it out, but I was actually kinda surprised because Hollinger and Duncan did their organizational rankings,
Uh huh.
and I don't know, part of me was just thinking like, "Well, we're a bad team right now, like, if we're in, like, the 11 to 20 range, I'm not gonna be shocked." But
Yeah.
both of them had I mean, Nate had us as the 5th overall, and Hollinger had us as 8th overall,
Yeah.
which I thought was pretty impressive, and because those guys, I mean, have been hard on OKC in the past for various things,
Yeah.
and it was just nice to hear a national voice like believe in what's going on in OKC despite the win loss record.
Yeah. No, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. Like you kind of have to, if you're going to be a viable franchise in Oklahoma, like you kind of have to have that. Like,
You do because they're not saying that about Houston, who by many accounts is in like a very similar position to OKC. Like they have these future picks coming in from Brooklyn
yep.
and from Milwaukee, I think, and
Even New
they have
Orleans.
and New Orleans, and they or New Orleans. Like they're not saying it about those teams who are also in a kind of similar position to OKC. They have some young stars, they have some young players that you like, they have future flexibility, but the difference is with the owner and the GM.
Yeah. Owner GM, like a very firm plan as to what they're doing. You don't have that with New Orleans. We'll see what that looks like in Houston over the next couple of years. I have no doubt that the Thunder will stick to the plan. I have very little doubt that they will, which I think
Yeah.
is really important. And like even and this is like a stretch a little bit to like connect it to the Lincoln Riley stuff that's been going on in Oklahoma, but like in order to have like a sports like a viable like sports team that is going to compete at a high level, like you have to have like a firm plan and like a really good general manager, really good ownership. And because like people are going to leave. Like people are going to leave. It is money, it's glamour, it's being by the beach. It's like all that stuff is like is going to call people away from Oklahoma. Like that's just the way that it is. And if the Thunder went after free agents, if they tried to trade for Towns, if they tried to do all these things that they could probably try to do right now, the sustainability of it is in question. I think they have to do it this way. Like it confirms it a little bit more to me. Um, that you kind of just like you have to this plan is the right one and they have to stick to it.
Yeah, like, I mean, the ideal you would hope like OKC with a Jokic type superstar, you would feel, like, amazing. You would feel like, "Okay, this is good for all of time." Like, 'cause it just feels like Jokic is the type of player who's going to be in Denver his whole career.
Well,
Like, you almost want that type of overlooked superstar.
yeah. Oh yeah. I think that Shay and Josh could be those type of guys if they reach their peaks.
Yeah.
You know, maybe Shay less so, but Josh like certainly has that feel to him. Um,
Like,
yeah,
Kawhi was actually kind of one of those guys before he ended up going to LA. Where
Yes.
like the general NBA population, like everyone knew he was good. They all recognized it, but no one's getting like excited about Kawhi.
Yeah.
Like in the 2017 MVP race, he was third. Like everyone was talking about Westbrook and Harden. He
Yeah.
didn't have that type of star power, but that type of a star on OKC, I think would do really well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even though he did leave.
Two teams. Team be a title, Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You have any Lincoln thoughts that you want to unload on everybody before we go?
Oh, Lincoln Riley?
Yeah.
I would say I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay, before I say I'm excited, I will fully acknowledge
You got to let people know. I don't know that everybody knows that you're an OU grad.
I am an OU grad. My dad used to work for a company that did all of the like PR shots for OU. So I would get to go to like every media day and be on the field. I'd get to go to a lot of games with my dad because he shot on like sideline shots
Mhm.
on the field. So I spent a lot of my youth on the sidelines at OU games. Went to a lot of bowl games, all that. Big fan, but as I got older, moved away. Now I watch all the games, but I'm not a diehard. That said, okay, before I say what I'm going to say, I fully acknowledge that this could send them down a spiral, which I know that you are hoping for. I know that all the OSU fans are hoping that.
I wasn't going to say it. I won't say
Yes, you are. You want OU to.
I know how fragile everybody is right now. I'm just going to sit quietly and just enjoy myself.
You want OU to spiral. You want them to go to the SEC and get embarrassed. I fully admit that is a strong, maybe strong possibility of what could happen.
Yeah.
That said, this is the most invested and excited and engaged I've been about OU football in at least 4 seasons, at least since Kyler was here.
Wow.
The 3 years with Jalen and then Spencer and then whatever this year was, like it was just a steady progression of me getting less and less interested in this team because you see, and I know it's OU fans are so spoiled and entitled. We don't even care about Big 12 championships. We won 6 in a row. We don't even care. But it's true at a certain point. You just kind of like get bored of this team. And it's like, what does it even mean to win the Big 12? Who cares? Because you want to win a championship. So I am excited because all possibilities are open at this point. Now, a lot of those possibilities are them being terrible, Andrew. They could be absolutely terrible. We could be entering a dark period as we did in the 1990s when I was sitting at a OU Colorado game in the south end zone, basically by myself. It was me, my dad, and my uncle. No one was there. No one cared. We could be heading back there.
Yeah.
We could have another Schnellenberger, John Blake era.
Oh no, John Blake.
But all that said, I'm still excited because until that happens, anything is possible. Anything is possible, Andrew.
It is definitely more exciting to follow, without a doubt.
Isn't it?
For now it is.
For now,
I love Eddie Radosevich. He's on the radio here. He's a friend of ours. We went to elementary school with Eddie. I don't listen to Eddie's podcast. I don't.
Yeah, I had never listened to it before this happened, and now
I hadn't either, and I was refreshing my feed whenever I saw them say like it's coming because I was like, all right, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. No, it was good.
I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. And the funniest part, if I can take a little jab at OU fans, is that we're all excited that like Bob Stoops is there to like weather this storm, and I am very thankful to Bob Stoops. Obviously, he brought this team a championship.
Stoops.
But as I sent to you, everyone's going crazy. Oh, we love Bob so much. I found, because I remembered it, I found a mailbag question sent to Bill Simmons in 2009 describing what it was like to be a fan of Oklahoma at that time. And I think people just forget like how run into the ground the Bob Stoops era felt at that time. And going up, I mean, he didn't even leave until a few years later. And now everyone wants Brent Venables back, which I get it. He's a good recruiter in like SEC country. But we hated that guy too.
Yeah.
We just we want to recapture this past that I don't feel like we're not willing to admit that like we kind of got sick of all of it to like an alarming degree. So whatever. I'm open to anything, is what I'm saying.
Oh, it's very, very exciting stuff. It's very exciting stuff. All right. That's all we got for today. Enjoy the Tankathon Bowl tonight down at the Paycom Center. If you're going to be there, I'll be there too. Say hello if you'd like. We do have a special pod on Saturday with Sam Vecini on Slam and Jam. If you aren't subscribed to the Athletic NBA show and you like to hear Alex and I talk more, you can subscribe to that. Listen to us on Saturday. Sam Vecini is going to be talking about the rookies. Get some Josh Giddey talk on that pod, so be sure to subscribe and listen for that. I've been working on a new Down to Dunk intro with the players in it. I think that will be dropping on Friday. So be ready for that. It is I don't really know where I'm going with it, but it should be at least a little weird, a little fun. So, all right, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys again on Friday.